The alien ships appeared in Earth's sky without warning. They came from the darkness of space, massive and gleaming like silver mountains. Their hulls reflected the sunlight as they descended through the clouds. People on the ground stopped what they were doing and stared upward. Some pointed, some screamed, most just stood frozen in fear. Inside the war room deep beneath Seoul, General Wu watched the screens with calm eyes. He was 50 years old with gray hair at his temples and a face that showed no surprise. Around him, dozens of officers worked at their stations, checking weapons systems and troop positions. The room hummed with quiet efficiency. "Sir, the alien fleet is broadcasting a message," said Captain Jin. She was 35, sharp-eyed, and had been Wu's intelligence officer for 7 years. She pressed a button and the alien voice filled the room. The words came through in broken human languages mixing English, Mandarin, and Korean. "People of Earth, we are the Empire. Your world now belongs to us. Surrender immediately. Resistance is futile. You have 1 hour." Several younger officers shifted nervously in their seats. One lieutenant's hand trembled slightly as he gripped his pen, but Wu simply nodded and picked up his communication device. "All units, this is command. Execute Protocol Anvil. Repeat, execute Protocol Anvil." Across the planet, military bases erupted into action. But this was not panic. This was practiced precision. Soldiers ran to their positions wearing equipment that looked far too advanced for Earth. Missile batteries rose from hidden underground silos. Fighter jets that nobody knew existed launched from secret airfields. Ships in the ocean activated weapons systems that had been disguised as normal radar equipment. High above the Pacific Ocean, separated from the main fleet. Inside, Commander stood tall. He was a warrior of the Empire, proud and confident. His species had conquered 47 worlds. Earth would be the 48th. The ship's sensors showed primitive technology below, chemical rockets, simple satellites, backward weapons. This would be easy. "Begin landing procedures," ordered. "Target the major population centers. Expect no real resistance." They entered Earth's atmosphere, its hull glowing red from the heat. 20 more ships followed behind it. They descended toward Tokyo, expecting to find terrified civilians and helpless soldiers. Instead, the sky erupted with fire. Anti-aircraft missiles streaked upward from positions that shouldn't exist. The missiles were fast and guided by technology they didn't expect. 3 exploded before they could even react. Gripped his command chair as his ship rocked from a near miss. "Evasive maneuvers," he shouted. "How do they have such weapons?" His crew had no answer. The intelligence report said Earth was primitive. The scans from 30 years ago showed a civilization barely capable of reaching its own moon. This was wrong. This was all wrong. On the ground in Seoul, Sergeant Yang waited with his squad inside a bunker beneath an ordinary-looking apartment building. He was 28 years old, strong and focused. His mechanized combat suit covered his body like a second skin, armored plates over flexible joints. The suit's heads-up display showed him the enemy positions in real time. "They're landing in Zone 7, he said to his squad, "just like the simulations." His soldiers nodded. They had trained for this exact scenario hundreds of times. They knew the alien battle tactics. They knew the weaknesses in armor. They had studied the data for years. The bunker doors opened. Yang led his squad out into the street. Above them, settled onto the pavement, its landing gear crushing abandoned cars. The boarding ramp lowered and alien soldiers marched out. There were tall creatures, 7 feet high, with 4 arms and thick-scaled skin. They carried energy weapons and wore armor that could stop most bullets. They expected to face terrified humans with primitive guns. Instead, Yang's squad opened fire with plasma rifles. The blue bolts of energy hit the aliens with devastating force. Their shields sparked and failed. Their armor cracked. They stumbled backward in confusion. "Advance," Yang commanded. His squad moved forward in perfect formation, their suits enhancing their strength and speed. They threw grenades that released electromagnetic pulses, disabling the alien weapons. They used tactics designed specifically to counter combat doctrine. The alien soldiers tried to retreat back to their ship, but more human squads emerged from buildings all around them. They were surrounded. Within minutes, the battle was over. In orbit, Admiral Haywan sat in the command chair of the UES Defiant. The ship looked like a simple space station from the outside, but that was camouflage. At her command, the outer shell detached, revealing a warship bristling with weapons. "All ships, drop disguises and engage the enemy," she ordered. Around Earth's orbit, 20 more space stations transformed into warships. Satellites that seemed harmless revealed themselves as weapons platforms. The hidden defense fleet activated all at once. The fleet commander watched in horror as human ships surrounded his forces. His tactical display lit up with warnings. Fire streaked across the darkness of space. Missiles with nuclear warheads launched from positions that shouldn't be there. His shields took hit after hit. "Impossible," he whispered. "They were supposed to be primitives." Back in the war room, General Wu allowed himself a small smile. Captain Jin stood beside him, watching the battle unfold on multiple screens. Every engagement was going according to plan. "Sir, enemy ground forces are retreating in all theaters," reported a communications officer. "Our casualty rates are minimal. Enemy casualties are severe." "Good," Wu said. "Maintain pressure, don't let them regroup." A young officer approached him nervously. "General, the media is asking for a statement. The people want to know how we were prepared for this." Wu shook his head. "Tell them we'll explain later. Right now, we have a war to win." He walked to the large display screen showing Earth from space. The alien fleet was already breaking formation, trying to escape the unexpected resistance. Their ships limped away, damaged and burning. Jin joined him at the screen. 15 years of preparation," she said quietly. "It's finally paying off." "It had better," Wu replied. "We only get one chance at this." Across the planet, human forces pressed their advantage. In every city, every battlefield, every engagement, the story was the same. The aliens expected easy victory. They found prepared soldiers instead. Commander managed to evacuate his surviving troops and return to orbit. His hands shook as he sent an emergency transmission to the Empire. "This is Commander. The invasion of Earth has failed. Repeat, the invasion has failed. The humans were ready for us. They were waiting. Request immediate reinforcements." But in the war room beneath Seoul, General Wu heard that transmission and smiled. He knew reinforcements would come. He was counting on it. Because humanity wasn't just ready for this battle, they were ready for the war. 15 years earlier, the Pacific Ocean was calm under a clear night sky. Lieutenant Wu stood on the deck of a naval recovery ship, watching his team prepare their diving equipment. He was younger then, only 35, but already known for his sharp mind and steady nerves. "Sir, we're picking up strange readings from the crash site," said a technician. "The object is giving off radiation, but not a type we recognize." Wu nodded. "Deploy the underwater drone first. I want to see what we're dealing with before anyone goes down there." 2 days earlier, satellites had detected something entering Earth's atmosphere. It wasn't a meteor. It moved with purpose, trying to slow down, but it was damaged. The object crashed into the ocean 500 miles west of Hawaii. Now Wu's team was here to investigate. The drone descended into the dark water, its lights cutting through the murk. At 200 meters depth, it found the wreckage. The craft was unlike anything human engineers had built. It was organic-looking, with smooth curves and a skin that seemed to shimmer even in death. "It's a ship," Wu said quietly, "an alien ship." The recovery took 16 hours. They brought the wreckage to the surface carefully, piece by piece. Inside the largest section, they found the pilot. The creature was small, barely 4 feet tall, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. It was still alive, but barely. Dr. Bin arrived by helicopter before dawn. She was 30 years old, a physicist who specialized in unknown phenomena. When she saw the alien, her hands trembled with excitement and fear. "It's trying to communicate," she said, placing sensors near the creature's head. "Its brain patterns are spiking. It wants to tell us something." They worked through the night, using computers to translate the alien's thoughts into human language. The creature was dying, its body broken from the crash, but it fought to stay conscious long enough to deliver its message. The translation came through, in broken sentences on the computer screen. "Warning, coming. They scout worlds, return to conquer, scanned your world 30 years ago, will come back 20 years after scout." Wu leaned forward. "How long do we have?" The alien's thoughts came slower now. "They come. 15 years, maybe 20. They always come. Conquered my world, killed my people, I escaped. Tried to warn others, ship damaged, so sorry, too late for me. Not too late for you, prepare. They think you are weak. Prove them wrong." The creature died as the sun rose over the Pacific. Dr. Bin stepped back from the sensors, tears on her face. Wu stood in silence, his mind already racing through the implications. Within a week, the alien ship and body were moved to a secret facility beneath a mountain in Colorado. World leaders gathered in emergency sessions. Some wanted to tell the public. Others wanted to keep it secret to avoid panic. They argued for days. Finally, they reached a decision. The truth would be classified at the highest level, but Earth would prepare for war. General Park, Wu's superior, put him in charge of Project Anvil. "You found it, Lieutenant. Now you're going to save us from it. You have whatever resources you need. Money is no object. Get us ready." Wu accepted the promotion to captain and dove into the work. Dr. Bin joined him as chief scientist. Together, they began reverse engineering the alien technology. The ship's data cores held incredible information. Star maps showing the Empire, technical specifications of their weapons and ships, records of their invasion tactics from 47 conquered worlds, battle formations, supply chains, weaknesses. "They're arrogant," Bin said, studying the data. "They use the same tactics every time because they've never lost. They don't expect real resistance." "Then we'll give them something they don't expect," Wu replied. The preparation began slowly at first. Scientists studied the alien technology in secret labs. Engineers built prototypes of new weapons. Military planners developed strategies based on the alien data. Commander was brought into the project in the second year. He was a Navy officer with a vision for space combat. "We need ships in orbit," he told Wu. "The aliens will have to fight through our space defenses before they reach the ground." "Build them," Wu said. "Disguise them as civilian space stations. Make them look harmless." Over the next 5 years, Earth's space presence expanded dramatically. The public saw new satellites and international space stations. They didn't know those stations could transform into warships. They didn't know the satellites carried weapons powerful enough to destroy incoming ships. On the ground, recruitment for the special combat programs began in year 3. Bora was 22 when she was approached. She had won 3 Olympic gold medals in various sports, and intelligence officers noticed her potential for more. "We need soldiers who are strong, fast, and smart," the recruiter told her. "We can't tell you why yet, but if you join, you'll be saving the world." Bora agreed without hesitation. She and 5,000 others entered training camps in remote locations. They learned to use weapons that didn't officially exist. They practiced in combat simulators that showed them fighting aliens. They were told it was hypothetical training. Most of them suspected the truth. They came online in year 7. Yang was one of the first soldiers to test them. He was 19, fresh from basic training, when they strapped him into the prototype. "How does it feel?" asked the engineer. Yang took a step and nearly jumped through the ceiling, the suit his strength by a factor of 10. "It feels like I can fight anything," he said. By year 10, the project was running at full scale. Thousands of scientists worked in secret facilities. Millions of soldiers trained with hidden weapons. Factories produced equipment under the guise of making civilian products. The world economy shifted subtly, resources flowing toward the defense program. Some people noticed the changes. Conspiracy theorists posted online about secret military buildups. Investigative journalists asked questions about missing budgets and classified projects. But the governments of Earth held firm. The truth remained hidden. In year 12, they had their first successful test of the plasma rifle. In year 13, the orbital came online. In year 14, the Defense AI network linked all military assets across the planet into one coordinated system. General Wu, now 49 years old, stood in the completed war room beneath Seoul. Captain Jin, his intelligence officer, showed him the final deployment maps. "Every major city has underground bunkers," she reported. "Every military base has advanced weapons. Our space fleet is ready. Our soldiers are trained. We're as prepared as we can be." Wu nodded slowly. According to the aliens' warning, they could arrive any time in the next year. "Do you think we'll be ready, sir?" "We'd better be," Wu said, "because if they come and we fail, there won't be a second chance." 9 months later, the alien ships appeared in Earth's sky. But humanity was not afraid. Humanity was ready. The city of Paris had become a battlefield in less than an hour. Soldiers marched through the streets, their 4 arms carrying energy weapons. They expected to find civilians hiding in fear. Instead, they found soldiers waiting in ambush. Colonel Young commanded the European theater from a bunker beneath the old catacombs. He was 42 years old, a veteran of every major military operation for the past 20 years. But this was different. This was the war they had trained for. "Enemy forces are concentrated near the tower," reported his tactical officer. "They're trying to set up a command post." Young studied the holographic map floating above his command table. The aliens were following their standard invasion pattern, exactly as the recovered data had predicted. They wanted to capture a symbolic landmark and use it to broadcast their dominance. "Send in the 3rd Armor Division," Young ordered. "Hit them from the east and west simultaneously. Use the underground tunnels to get close before they detect you." Below the streets, human tanks moved through old subway tunnels that had been converted into military highways. The tanks were new models, powered by fusion reactors and armed with. Their armor could withstand direct hits from energy weapons. The tanks emerged from hidden exits on both sides of the alien position. They turned to face the threat, but they were already surrounded. Young watched the battle through drone cameras as his forces unleashed a devastating barrage. The energy shields on the vehicles flickered and failed under the fire. The aliens tried to retreat, but human infantry squads blocked their escape routes. Within 15 minutes, the battle was over. "Sector 7 secured," Young reported to command. "Enemy casualties are high. We captured 12 of their soldiers alive." In Earth's orbit, the battle was even more intense. Admiral Haywon stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the tactical display. She was 50 years old, calm and precise in everything she did. Her career had been spent preparing for this exact moment. "Enemy cruiser approaching from Vector 7, called out her weapons officer. "Target their engines," Haywon ordered. "I want them disabled, not destroyed. We need to capture their technology." The fired, a solid slug of metal accelerated to incredible speed. It punched through the cruiser's shields and tore into its engine section. The alien ship went dark, drifting in space, its weapons offline. Boarding teams prepare to secure that vessel, HFY said. She turned to her communications officer. How are our other ships doing? The orbital defense platforms are performing excellently, Admiral. We've destroyed or disabled 15 enemy vessels. They're trying to retreat to higher orbit, but our fighters are pursuing them. Among those fighters was Pilot. He was 26 years old and had spent 5 years training in secret for space combat. His fighter was small and fast, built with alien propulsion technology that made it more maneuverable than anything they had. Target locked, said into his radio. His fighter's AI highlighted an enemy ship on his display. He fired a missile and immediately banked hard to the right, avoiding return fire. The missile hit home. The fighter exploded in a ball of flame that quickly extinguished in the vacuum of space. Didn't celebrate. He was already searching for his next target. This is Red Leader, he transmitted to his squadron. Stay in formation. They're trying to flank us from above. His pilots responded instantly, moving as one unit. They had practiced these maneuvers thousands of times in simulation. Now it was real, and their training showed. The pilots were skilled, but they had never faced opponents who knew their tactics in advance. Back on the ground in New Shanghai, Sergeant Yang led his squad through the ruins of a shopping district. The aliens had tried to establish a forward base here, but human artillery had forced them back. Now Yang's job was to clear out the stragglers. Movement ahead, whispered Private Minho, the squad's scout. He was 20 years old and had excellent instincts. Yang signaled for his squad to spread out. Through his suit's sensors, he could see heat signatures inside a collapsed building. 3, probably wounded from the artillery strike, hiding in the rubble. Surrender and you will not be harmed, Yang called out in the language. The translation program in his suit converted his words into their alien speech. There was a long pause. Then slowly, the 3 aliens emerged with their weapons lowered. They looked shocked to hear their own language from a human soldier. How? One of them started to ask. We've been studying you for 15 years, Yang said. We know your language, we know your tactics, we know everything about you. The aliens surrendered without a fight. Yang's squad secured them and called for transport. As they waited, one of them spoke again. Our empire has conquered 47 worlds, the alien said. How did you defeat us so easily? Yang looked at the alien warrior. Because you thought we were weak. You thought we were unprepared. That was your mistake. Across the planet, similar scenes played out. In Moscow, ground forces retreated into the countryside, only to be surrounded by mechanized infantry. In Cairo, alien were shot down before they could land. In Sydney, human special forces teams hunted down the invaders street by street. They had expected a quick conquest. They found themselves fighting for survival instead. Commander watched the disaster unfold from his command ship. Every report brought worse news. His ground forces were surrounded or in retreat. His fleet was taking heavy losses, and the humans showed no sign of slowing down. Sir, we need to request reinforcements from the Empire, his second-in-command urged. Wanted to refuse. Calling for help would be admitting failure, but pride wouldn't save his soldiers. Send the transmission. Tell the Empire we need immediate support. The message went out, traveling through hyperspace to the home worlds. It would take days for help to arrive. Wasn't sure he had days. In the war room beneath Seoul, General Wu received reports from every battle front. The news was good, better than good. Humanity was winning. Captain Jin approached with a data pad. Sir, we've intercepted the alien distress call. They're requesting reinforcements. How long until those reinforcements arrive? Based on their hyperspace technology, at least 4 days. Wu nodded. Good. That gives us time to finish this phase and prepare for the next one. You knew they'd call for help, Jin asked. Of course, Wu said. They're arrogant, but they're not stupid. When they see they're losing, they'll call for more ships. That's what the data from the refugee ship showed us. They always escalate when facing resistance. And we're ready for that. Wu allowed himself a small smile. We're ready for everything, Captain. That's the point. Around the world, human forces pressed their advantage. The invasion, which should have been an easy conquest, had turned into a rout. The aliens were learning a hard lesson. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was the predator. 3 days after the invasion began, the reinforcement fleet emerged from hyperspace. 60 new warships appeared above Earth, joining the battered remnants of the first wave. Commander felt hope for the first time since the invasion started. "Now we have the numbers," he said to his officers. "Now we will show these humans the true power of the Empire." But in the war room beneath Seoul, General Wu was ready. He had known the reinforcements would come. He had planned for it. "Is the disruptor ready?" he asked Dr. Bin. The physicist nodded, though she looked nervous. "It's ready, General, but this technology is experimental. We've only tested it in simulations." "Will it work?" Bin took a deep breath. "According to our calculations, yes. When we activate it, it will sever all quantum communications between the ships. They won't be able to coordinate with each other or receive orders from their fleet commander." "How long will it take to affect all their ships?" "The disruption field will spread at light speed. Within 30 seconds, every vessel in Earth's orbit will be cut off from their command network." Wu turned to his communications officer. "Order all our forces to prepare for a full offensive. When the aliens lose their coordination, we strike with everything we have." The quantum disruptor was hidden inside what appeared to be a simple communications satellite. It had been placed in orbit 5 years earlier, waiting for this exact moment. Dr. Bin sent the activation code from her control station. The effect was invisible to human eyes, but the results were immediate. Across the fleet, command screens went dark. Ship captains suddenly couldn't talk to each other. The coordinated battle formation fell apart as each vessel reverted to independent operation. Stared at his blank communications display in horror. "What's happening? Why can't I contact the other ships?" His technical officer worked frantically at the controls. "Sir, our quantum communication system is completely offline. I can't reach anyone. We're blind." Admiral Haewon saw the confusion in the alien fleet and gave the order. "All ships, engage at will. Target their largest vessels first." The human fleet struck like a hammer. Missiles launched from every direction, fired coordinated volleys. The unable to coordinate their defense were picked apart ship by ship. But Wu had another plan in motion. Captain Jin led a special operations team aboard a stealth shuttle, approaching the largest command ship while the battle raged around them. "Remember your training," Jin told her team over the radio. "We've studied the layout of their ships from the refugees' data. We know exactly where to go." The stealth shuttle attached to the command ship's hull. Jin's team cut through the outer armor with plasma torches and entered the alien vessel. Inside, they moved through corridors they had memorized from training simulations. They encountered guards. They were tall and strong, but Jin's team had trained for this. They used stun weapons designed specifically to work on biology. The guards fell unconscious before they could raise the alarm. Jin led her team to the command deck. They planted explosive charges on the door and blew it open. Inside, officers scrambled for weapons, but they were too slow. Within seconds, the entire command crew was subdued. "Control the ship's communication system," Jin ordered her technical specialist. "I want a broadcast on all frequencies." The specialist worked quickly, bypassing the alien security protocols using codes recovered from the refugee ship 15 years ago. Within minutes, he had access to the entire communication network. "You're live, Captain," he said. Jin activated the broadcast. She spoke in perfect, her words reaching every ship in the fleet. Warriors of the Empire, this is Captain Jin of Earth Defense Force. Your command ship is now under our control. Your communication network is disabled. Your invasion has failed. We are giving you one chance to surrender. Lower your shields and power down your weapons. If you do not comply, we will destroy every one of your ships. On the bridge of his vessel, heard the message. He looked around at his crew, seeing the same shock and despair on every face. They had thought themselves invincible. They had conquered 47 worlds without serious resistance. Now they were defeated by a world they had dismissed as primitive. Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, Bora led her Special Forces team through the dense forests of the Amazon. Supply convoys were trying to retreat to hidden landing zones, hopping to evacuate their ground troops, but human intelligence knew their routes. "Targets approaching," whispered her team's scanner operator. 4 transport vehicles, heavily armed escort. Bora studied the terrain through her suit's tactical display. Team 1, take position on the ridge. Team 2, block their escape route south. We'll hit them from 3 sides. Her soldiers moved into position silently. The convoy rolled along the jungle road, unaware of the trap. When they were completely surrounded, Bora gave the signal. The first thing the aliens knew of the ambush was when their lead vehicle exploded. Electromagnetic grenades disabled their shields. Plasma fire came from the trees on all sides. The convoy tried to return fire, but they couldn't see their attackers. The battle lasted less than 5 minutes. When it was over, the entire convoy was captured. The soldiers surrendered when they realized they had no chance. "This is impossible," one of the alien commanders said to Bora. "How do you know our supply routes? How do you know our tactics?" Bora removed her helmet, revealing her face. "Because a refugee from one of your conquered worlds died warning us about you. We've had 15 years to prepare. We know everything about how you fight, every tactic, every weakness. You're predictable." The alien commander looked at her in disbelief. "One refugee defeated the Empire." "No," Bora said. "One refugee gave us the information we needed to defeat ourselves. Humans did the rest." Back in orbit, the fleet was in chaos. Without coordination, without orders, many captains made the decision to surrender. Others tried to fight on, but the human forces destroyed them systematically. Commander coordinated the orbital defense with precision. Every captured ship was boarded and secured. Every fleeing vessel was pursued and disabled. Within 6 hours of the disruption field activation, the battle in space was effectively over. On the ground, Colonel Young coordinated the final sweep of major cities. The ground forces, cut off from orbital support and surrounded, had no choice but to surrender. In Paris, in Moscow, in New Shanghai, alien soldiers laid down their weapons. General Wu stood in the war room, watching the status reports come in from around the world. Green lights appeared on the global map, one by one, as each sector reported enemy forces defeated or captured. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Commander," Captain Jin reported. "He's requesting to discuss terms of surrender." Wu nodded slowly. "Patch him through." The alien commander's face appeared on the screen. He looked older than his years, defeated and tired. General Wu said, "I'm prepared to order all forces to stand down, but I must know, how did you do this? Our intelligence said you were primitive. Our scans showed basic technology. How did you defeat us?" Wu looked at the alien commander with cold eyes. "You scanned us 30 years ago and then ignored us. You gave us time. And humans, when given time, become very dangerous. We learned everything about you from a refugee you left behind. Then we prepared. For 15 years we prepared." Closed his eyes. "We underestimated you." "Yes," Wu said simply. "You did. Now let's discuss your surrender." The meeting took place aboard Admiral Haywon's flagship, orbiting high above Earth. General Wu arrived by shuttle, accompanied by Captain Jin and a small security detail. Commander waited in the conference room, flanked by his remaining officers. The commander stood tall despite his defeat, his 4 arms held stiffly at his sides. "State your terms," said simply. Wu sat down across from him. He placed a data pad on the table between them. "First, all forces will leave Earth's solar system within 48 hours. You will take your ships and go. Second, you will return all human prisoners taken during the invasion. We have records of every person you captured. If anyone is missing, the deal is void." Nodded, acceptable, what else? "Third," Wu continued, "you will carry a message back to your empire. Tell them that Earth is not to be touched. Tell them we have studied your tactics and your technology. Tell them that any future invasion will end the same way this one did." "The empire will not be pleased with this message," said quietly. "I don't care if they're pleased," Wu replied. "I care that they understand Earth is protected, we are not prey." One of his officers spoke up angrily. "You were lucky. You had help from a traitor who gave you our secrets. Without that, you would have fallen like all the others." Jin leaned forward. "That traitor was a refugee from a world you destroyed, a survivor who died trying to warn others. And yes, that information helped us. But even with the information, we still had to build the weapons, train the soldiers, and prepare for 15 years. Luck had nothing to do with it. We worked for this victory." Raised one of his hands, silencing his officer. "She is right. We gave you time and you used it well. That is not luck, that is strategy." Admiral Haewon entered the conference room. "Commander, my scans show your fleet is ready to leave orbit. You have 48 hours. I suggest you don't waste them." The commander stood. "We will leave as agreed, but I must ask one question. What will you do now? Will you come after the Empire?" Wu shook his head. "We're not conquerors, we're defenders. We don't want your territory, we just want to be left alone. But if your empire comes back, we'll be ready. And next time we'll have even better weapons." Looked at the human general with something like respect. "You are unlike any species we have encountered. Most races, when they gain power, seek to expand. You seek only to protect what is yours." "That's what makes us different," Wu said. "Now go, tell your empire what happened here." Over the next 2 days, the fleet prepared to depart. Damaged ships were repaired enough to make the journey home. Human prisoners were returned to Earth, all alive and unharmed. The aliens had not had time to mistreat their captives before the invasion collapsed. On the ground, cities began to recover. Sergeant Yang and his squad helped clear rubble from the streets of Seoul. The battle damage was less severe than it could have been. The preparations had worked. The bunkers had protected civilians. The defense systems had minimized destruction. "How does it feel to be a hero?" asked one of his soldiers, Private Min Ho. Yang shook his head. "I don't feel like a hero, I feel like a soldier who did his job." But to the civilians emerging from the shelters, they were heroes. People waved and cheered as the soldiers passed. Children ran up to touch the mechanized suits. News cameras filmed everything. The government finally announced the truth to the public. President gave a televised address, standing in front of the United Nations building. 15 years ago, we received a warning from a dying alien, she said. That warning gave us time to prepare. We could have told you the truth then, but we chose to prepare in secret to avoid panic. Now the invasion is over. We have won. And I want to thank every scientist, engineer, and soldier who worked in secret to save our world. The speech was broadcast globally. People learned about Project Anvil, about the refugee ship, about the 15 years of preparation. Some were angry they hadn't been told. Most were just grateful to be alive. Dr. Bin watched the speech from her lab. She felt exhausted but satisfied. Her quantum disruptor had worked perfectly. Her weapons had saved countless lives, but she knew the work wasn't over. "What's next for us?" asked one of her research assistants. Bin looked at the alien technology still being analyzed in the labs. "Next, we improve. They might not come back, but Jin's intelligence reports suggest there are other empires out there. We can't stop preparing now. In orbit, Admiral Haywan watched the last ship depart Earth's solar system. The alien vessels jumped to hyperspace, their lights fading into the darkness. She felt no satisfaction, only relief. "Ma'am, should we stand down to normal alert status?" asked her first officer. "No," Haywan said firmly. "Maintain battle readiness. They are gone, but the galaxy is large. We need to stay vigilant." Commander was already working on the next phase of Earth's defense. His engineers were designing new outposts on Mars and the moons of Jupiter, defensive stations that would give Earth even more warning if another threat appeared. "We'll extend our defensive perimeter," he explained to his team. "Earth's orbit is just the beginning. We need to control the whole solar system." Bora accepted a new assignment as a training instructor. She stood before a class of young recruits, looking at their eager faces. "You've all heard about the invasion," she said. "You've heard about the victory, but don't think the fight is over. The universe is dangerous. There are species out there that see us as weak. Our job is to prove them wrong every single day. We train, we prepare, we never get comfortable." The recruits listened with intense focus. They understood. This generation would not be caught unprepared. General Wu stood at the memorial service for the soldiers and civilians who had died in the invasion. The casualties had been remarkably low, thanks to the preparations, but every loss still hurt. He placed a wreath at the memorial wall, where names were being engraved. But he placed another wreath at a different memorial, one that few people knew about. It was a simple stone marker in a secure facility, dedicated to the unknown refugee whose warning had saved Earth. "We never knew your name," Wu said quietly to the memorial. "We never knew your species, but you died trying to save others. You gave us the gift of time. We won't waste it." Captain Jin stood beside him. "What do you think the Empire will do now?" "They'll probably avoid Earth," Wu said. "We hurt them badly. We damaged their reputation. Other species they've conquered will hear about this. Some might find hope in our victory." "And if they come back?" Wu smiled grimly. "Then we'll defeat them again, but better. We have their technology now. We have their ships. We'll reverse engineer everything and improve our own capabilities. If they return in 50 years, they'll find Earth even more dangerous than it is now." Months passed. Earth healed from the invasion. The hidden military bases became public knowledge. The advanced technology was gradually introduced to civilian use. Humanity entered a new era. But the soldiers kept training. The scientists kept researching. The engineers kept building. Because humanity had learned a valuable lesson. The universe was not empty. It was full of dangers, and Earth would never again be unprepared. High above the planet, the defense satellites watched the stars. Their sensors scanned the darkness, searching for any sign of threat. In the war room beneath Seoul, monitors displayed real-time data from across the solar system. General Wu, now promoted to Supreme Commander of Earth Defense, looked at those screens every day. He was 51 years old, his hair more gray than black, but his eyes were still sharp and watchful. "Sir, all sectors report clear," said the duty officer. "Good," Wu replied. "Maintain full scanning protocols. They knew about us for 30 years before they attacked. There might be others out there who've been watching even longer." He walked to the window that looked out over the underground complex. Thousands of people worked here now, coordinating Earth's defense. The project that had started with a single crashed ship had grown into a global shield. Humanity had won its first war against the stars. But Wu knew it wouldn't be the last. And that was fine, because humanity was ready. Humanity would always be ready.